As of today, we can finally talk about Nikon's new ZR. It's the first camera from the Red and Nikon collaboration called Z Cinema, which combines Nikon autofocus and glass with Red color science and cinematic DNA. And I was able to get my hands on a pre-production model for 6 hours a couple of weeks ago, so I found this cool little spot to put the camera through its paces. Now, Nikon is a partner on this episode too, but as always, I only make episodes about things that I like and I only give my honest opinion. But I'm sure you are as curious about this thing as I was, so let's dive in looking at the body first. This thing is small and surprisingly light, lighter than the FX3 at 540 grams, which made some of the handheld shots I was doing a bit easier, especially when putting it in odd positions. And usually lightweight cameras like this can translate to the motion visually so you can feel that it's a lightweight camera. But with the stabilization on in camera, the motion actually feels more like a heavier camera to me. One of the things I really appreciate here is the minimal buttons on the body. I feel like 90% of cameras are just button vomit, and I don't use the majority of those buttons. But here we have a record button in the front and a scroll wheel as well, with a second scroll wheel in the back. And these two were controlling my f-stop and shutter. Up top, we have our main record button, a zoom rocker, the photo video mode toggle, 3 assignable buttons, a hot shoe, and the power button. On the side, we have our 3.5mm mic in and headphones, then micro HDMI and a USB-C port. On the bottom, we have our battery and CF card slot, which this takes CF Express Type B. And in the back, we have a joystick, the menu and media buttons, and this gorgeous 4-inch monitor. This is definitely one of my favorite things on this camera. It has excellent resolution and is crazy bright. Even in direct sunlight, I had no issue seeing what I was shooting. The image quality is killer. We have a full frame sensor here and a similar codec to the Z6 III, like 12-bit NRAW and ProRes RAW, both up to 6K, 10-bit ProRes 422HQ and H.265, and some other flavors of ProRes, but what's new here is the R3D NE at up to 6K 60p with no crop. And the R3D NE is the new specialized Red RAW codec that allows Nikon cameras to shoot in Red's R3D format. So you're getting that same Red color science and workflow with, of course, the ability to change your white balance, ISO, and others in post. Premiere and Resolve don't support R3D NE yet, so I had to convert these to ProRes through Red Cine X, but compatibility with Premiere Pro and Resolve is coming soon. Thankfully. The ZR is also the first camera to support R3D NE, and I'm liking it better than NRAW. Let's take these two shots. Same settings, both converted from log, but no grade, with nothing changed between them except this one is Red RAW and this one is NRAW. Off the bat, the biggest difference is that the Red RAW leans green. If we zoom in to my eye, Red RAW is also keeping the skin tones together a bit better than NRAW. And if we zoom even closer, the Red RAW seems a bit cleaner. Maybe this is the conversion or something that's happening within Red Cine X export, but I didn't have the denoise on there, so I'm not really sure. Either way, it's a small difference, so possibly more about the pipeline than anything else. Again, we're just looking at the base conversions with no balance or grade. And since R3D NE is that same Red color science, I can grab these excellent LUTs from Red and use it right on this footage. And these were specifically developed with the colorist of Mindhunter and Gone Girl, and they're free. So another upside to this new codec is we're getting access to these great resources from Red as well. But once I throw that in and finish out a full grade while pushing the image a bit, we're seeing the differences more clearly, here in the background and more in the shadow areas as well. But let's take a look at a few of the codecs here. We have R3D NE, NRAW, 10-bit ProRes, and 10-bit H.265. Once we move down to 10-bit ProRes, it's still looking good, but we're getting less manageable noise and a softer image overall, which is what I would expect to see. Even more so with the H.265. And all of those are N-Log except for the Red RAW, of course. And I did enjoy grading in the Red RAW footage more than the N-RAW as well. It just took less steps to get where I wanted to go, though I was able to get them both to the same place in the end. And the shots looked great, which helped by the location, which I found this one on Peerspace. I don't have any affiliation with Peerspace, but it is a great site for finding locations in your area with a range of budgets. We rented a loft where the owner runs a local hat company. It's a small business called Black Dog Overland where they make a range of quote hats. So if you're interested, we put a link to that in the description below. The windows at this location gave us plenty of natural light and let me toy around with the dynamic range as well. And Nikon is saying we have 15 stops of dynamic range here. And as you know, my testing is creative, not technical. So if you want to know if that checks out, you're going to have to wait for Gerald Undun's review. But I was very happy with how much of a range I was getting, like with this shot. I placed Emily right in front of the window with no additional lights on her. Then when we threw on our conversion LUT, the outside was too hot and she was too much in the shadows, but it's all there in the log. So I can pull the outside down, then use a magic mask on Emily to separate her and bring her out as well. Or take this shot. I had Emily walk out of the shadows of the sidewalk into the harsh sunlight across the street, then back into shadows. I'm finding a bit of a middle ground with the exposure here, so when I go to post, I can keyframe my exposure to adjust as she moves in and out of the shadow. And I'm able to do that because all the information exists in that log. I took this into a back bathroom with the door open to let in some ambience, but it was very dark in this room and let us push it a bit. Though I would love to take this outside at night in the future to really test it out. But we have dual ISO here with 800 and 6400. Both look nice and clean, but unlike the Z6 III, the ISO between 800 and 64 were looking good as well. So there's some room to actually use those without any big issues. I was also able to get this pretty high while still usable here. 8,000 to 10,000 was noisy, but with a little noise reduction, it makes it usable in a pinch for sure. Honestly, for something like a vlog or doc, you could potentially get up to 25,000 with some strong denoising in something like Neat Video. Nikon's autofocus has been killer on all the cameras we've reviewed from them, and this is no different. It felt very much like the Z6 III, really responsive and consistently finding my subject when I wanted it to. You have multiple tracking options here and a tap to focus that works insanely well. Like with this shot, to get a perfect rack to the pool balls here, I just tapped that area and it did the rest. This is set fast, but you can adjust that speed for it to feel more organic as well. The stabilization is similar, really killer, and feels somewhat familiar to the Z6 III, and we have 3 vibration reduction options here: off, sport, and normal. I found sport to be the best overall, so I just lived on that for the majority of my shots, and like the Z6 III, it's doing a great job. If I shifted too fast or too quickly, you will get that unpleasant jerk, but for general focused handheld work, I was able to get really solid shots. And once I apply a little stabilization in post, some of it actually looked like it was shot on a gimbal. The rolling shutter is another area that's feeling a bit similar to the Z6 III. It's definitely there, but not too bad at all, and really only noticeable with fast pans. With a normal quick pan, it's barely there at all. One other thing I didn't touch on yet is slow motion. I only got a handful of shots here, but I'm at 120 in 4K Red RAW, and it's looking nice. I wish I had a little more time with it to dive into specifics like this a bit more, but from what I'm seeing here, it does seem like it does the job. The audio is another place I didn't get a lot of time to test, but it's something I'm very excited about, and it's entirely because we have in-camera 32-bit float. I've been begging for cameras to start including this forever, and we now have the world's first 32-bit float recording with both built-in microphone and the 3.5mm stereo jack in camera. And recording audio in 32-bit float is basically like recording your image in RAW or log, so you end up with this massive latitude to play with. So where your audio would have clipped and been unsalvageable with 24-bit, 32-bit float can bring that right back. Take this for instance.
She thrusts her fist into the post and still insists she sees the ghost!
That's as it was recorded in camera, and it sounds horrible, but again, this is 32-bit float. So we can pull down and salvage all that information that's out of our waveform view, and we have this.
She thrusts her fist into the post and still insists she sees the ghost!
This is a run and gun filmmaker's dream come true, and I hope every camera manufacturer does this from now on. You also have something called Ozo Audio in here. With the mics up top, the system gives you 5 patterns to choose from to focus your sound the way you want. Here's Justin with Ozo off and just the bass audio recording.
She thrusts her fist into the post and still insists she sees the ghost.
Then with Ozo on and set to super directional.
She thrusts her fist into the post and still insists she sees the ghost.
So it's really effective and does a ton to make it work. However, there is a big caveat here. Ozo doesn't work with RAW formats, which is a bummer since not being able to use it with RAW means I probably won't use it that much. The battery is really solid as well. I only swapped one once or twice and definitely was getting over 2 hours off one battery with continuous shooting in Red RAW. We also didn't have any overheating issues. The ZR is fanless, so I was curious about that, but we were outside in the sun, inside in a decently warm room, and I didn't have a single issue in 6 hours. I do have 2 complaints though. First is that there's no internal NDs. I understand why. This is a very small camera, so no room for NDs, but that's always a complaint for me, so I have to note it. And I really don't like Red Cine X. I don't want to work in it. I don't like the software at all. It's always frustrating to use, and I want that RAW inside my editor so I can adjust the RAW on the fly. The upside here, like I said before, is compatibility is coming to Premiere Pro and Resolve, so we should have that in the near future. Again, I only had this for 6 hours, but the true test for me always is A, do I want to own it? And B, would I shoot a project on it? And I gotta say, it's a big yes for both of those questions. This is a camera made for filmmakers. Everything from the size to the minimal buttons, the menu, built-in 32-bit float, and obviously the very cinematic image I'm getting, it's just all crazy for the price tag of $2,200. And I hate using the term game changer, but there is a lot about this camera that's very exciting for the low-budget filmmaker. It's small and light, great autofocus and stabilization, solid low light and dynamic range, full frame, and most importantly, that red color science delivering a very cinematic image that looks like it was shot on a camera triple the price. So bottom line, I'm impressed and I want it. I'll pop a link to check out the official page below. I'm sure they'll have the release date there as well as any info they may have updated since I shot this episode. But what do you think? Is this an exciting new camera for you or just another camera? Let us know below. And as always, if you dug the episode, do us a favor, give us a like, share, and comment to grease those algorithm wheels. And until next time, don't forget to write, shoot, edit, repeat.
See you later. Ta-ta.